Is this... Yeah, okay, it's working. What's good, everybody? Jacob Snow here, bringing you the first in a while Legends of Albadyn video. This one, after the subsequent sort of demise of the character builds videos due to the fact that they used an outdated system, I'm working on rebuilding those. But before we get into any of that, creating new ones of those or anything, I felt like this video was very necessary because I do get a lot of new players for Legends of Albadyn, and this is sort of like a AMA FAQ type thing. So this is the Legends of Albadyn Lessons for New Players video, which is advice for new Legends of Albadyn players. Getting right into it, we're going to go into slide 1, which is never go alone. This is the first and arguably most important lesson. Well, they're all really important, honestly. But anyway, never go alone. Legends of Albadyn is a difficult game, not because it's like got complex mechanics, although there are some of those, not because of difficulty with accessibility, but because as a character and all of the monsters in the game share this trait, damage is dealt and damage is taken very quickly. A single character has, like a single human fighter, has an averaged out damage output of 12 to 16 with 4 attacks. And that's the averaged damage output of the lowest level monster in Legends of Albadyn, which is the Bandit Thug. It's one of the easiest monsters to kill, has some of the lowest hit points, but has a little bit of bonus damage that it can do as well, which elevates its damage subtotal to 12 to 16 because of its class lane ability. Even if you are a solo player, and we do have several of those, I number myself among them. I usually pick up a game or two myself just to practice things and test different stuff out. Always bring multiple characters to mid to end game content. Stuff like Wandering Hero quests, you can handle that with a single character. But if you're going after something bigger, like a tier 1 warband, or any of the structured content that's found in the Game Master tab, you're going to want to have at least 2 characters to balance things out, which will increase your damage output, increase your survivability, increase your chances of making it to the end of the encounter where you secure your rewards. Sometimes I do things with solo characters, like just one character, and even with my max power character, I struggle to get through tier 2 content, which is mid-tier, easily speaking. So I'll usually bring 2 characters even if they are leveled pretty high. Next lesson, split attacking, or attack splitting, whatever you want to call it. There are pros and cons to this in Legends of Albadyn. Your attack speed specifically is something that we've had a lot of issues with explaining to new players, so we're going to break it down here. If you have an attack speed of 4, that means you can make 4 attacks in the round. Oftentimes, however, players will throw 2 attacks or 4 attacks, or all of their attacks, however many that may be, into a single target, and then just be on their way as though it was an attack phase or something like that. And once you've used your attack actions, the rest just vanish. Fortunately, that is just not so. It is possible to not use all of your attacks in a round if you don't want to for whatever reason. But you can use as few or as many of your attacks as you wish, and there is no dedicated phase for attacking. You can attack an enemy, and if that enemy is vanquished, then you can move and attack a different enemy as long as you have attack actions left to attack with. Split attacking is usually only there when there are multiple targets, if you're a ranged character that need to be removed, or if you're in combat as a melee character with multiple enemies in adjacency. The pros and cons of split attacking is your chances of removing multiple enemies from the board at once with split attacking. But that's usually only going to work if you are surrounded by trash mobs. So you can, like, for instance, let's say you've got 3 thugs adjacent to you. The thug is established from earlier. The thug only defends on a 5 and only has 4 hit points. Depending on your character's build, that's easily surmountable. And so you could, instead of throwing 3 attacks into a single thug, throw a single attack into each thug. And that can really help you out and help you get out of that situation so you don't have multiple rounds in adjacency to that many enemies. However, if you're surrounded by enemies with 6 or more health, or mid-tier enemies, splitting your attacks is probably going to get you killed, because your probability of dealing 6 damage to each of your targets, if you have lower attack speed, like with 4 attack speed, you could throw 2 into one and 1 into each of the others, but your probability of dealing the damage that's actually going to knock them off the field is minimal at best. So, splitting attacks works, and you can do it, but it's not always smart to do it. Lesson 3, tailoring your build. As we go into build videos again, I'm taking another shot at that. The only reason I haven't deleted the previous build videos is because they are still part of Albadyn's history, and there is still good information in there, even if the information is a little outdated in terms of power costs and what the abilities do and how that all works. Tailoring your build is still a very important aspect of Legends of Albadyn. The 3 basic build types that I personally have discovered when creating characters or helping other people create their characters is, first off, you've got an early Reaper style build, which is you get every low-cost skill you can. Under the new system, this usually means bringing a lot of passives to the table, with the occasional radial attack, leap attack, or feint brought for offensive and defensive action. Early Reaper is pretty solid in terms of reliability, but you'll start hitting a wall later game because you don't have those big flashy punch attacks that do more damage. And granted, cost a little more power, but still. Hero type is the baseline, and to this point, I'm the only person who has done this, but I can't hard confirm that. Hero type gets low cost skills early. So like your first couple of skills are going to be passives and maybe a special attack or 2. And then once you hit a certain point, like for me it's usually 50 power. Once I have 50 power, I start saving power for something bigger, like Tenfold Lotus or Warlord's Charge. Yeah, Warlord's Charge. Or something like that, something that can make a big impact in the battle. That way I'm not left in the air waiting for it. I still have things I can use in the meantime, but I will have that big thing for when I need it. Tenfold Lotus especially can be a game changer for end game content. Jank builds, as per usual, they are unreliably effective, and they just get high cost skills every time, or high cost spells every time. So for instance, that would be akin to taking your starting 15 power and getting one of the martial arts like Wind Cutter or Mighty Strike. This can work, and it will make you good at removal, but it's going to be limited removal. And limited removal is usually something you want for bosses, not something you want as your only tool in your arsenal. And while item builds can balance out the jankiness of your skill builds, as we're about to talk about, items can be replaced, skills can't. You can't change your skill loadout without creating a new character, or getting one of the extremely rare respec tokens that we give out from time to time when there are major changes to the system of skill selection, as happened month before last in 2021. So that is actually kind of nicely segue into experimenting with items, so we'll just jump right into that. Items, unlike skills, are not concrete. You can sell items back to the item shop for half their value. I'm fairly certain that's already on the item shop, but I might need to go add that, make sure it's clear that's its rule. So you can sell items and buy different items if you got one and you thought you would like it, or if you looted one off the battlefield and you're just like, I don't need this, you can sell it, get some gold, and get a different item to experiment with. Trying different item combinations is very, very important because you can do things with item combinations that are not possible with class and skill combinations. For instance, my guild leader for my personal guild, which is the Crimson Cross Guild, um, is a rook at high level. He has torrential assault because he's another character I hero built, and he experimented around with a bunch of different items, and the one we landed on for him was the cylinder crossbow paired with the endless quiver, allowing him to make a jaw-dropping 30 attacks in a single round. Do they do the most damage? No. But is that still a lot of DACA? Absolutely. And so by experimenting with item builds, you can find combinations of items and skills that work really well together and actually make your character borderline unstoppable in late game content. As ranged support, he still misses too many attacks, but he has enough attacks to make that it balances out. So the final lesson here is less of a like in-game lesson and more just really strong advice, and that's join the Legends of Albadyn Discord. Our Discord server, there is a link in the description below to our Discord server, which will carry you up. It'll pair you up with the Legends of Albadyn players. The Legends of Albadyn dev team talks their fair deal. We have advice for new players. If you have questions about the game, you can ask at any time. It's a very friendly environment. We've done everything we can to make it friendly. And it can also help you find Legends of Albadyn games because we do run game nights there with relative frequency, although it has slowed down a bit as school has started back up for myself and for other Legends of Albadyn players who are in school or college, whatever it may be. Again, that link to our Discord is in the description below. I encourage you to join us. And above all, I thank you for watching. I hope that this video has answered some of those frequently asked questions that I usually get asked on the Discord server. And until next we meet, my loyal band of heroes, may your journey continue.